Ed Sheeran, this is a little bit dated, but a bit of hot water for Ed Sheeran, who was accused of plagiarism, which went to a court trial. The song in question is a fantastic Ed Sheeran song, Thinking Out Loud.
Darling,
Absolutely lovely song. Has been accused of ripping off this song by Marvin Gaye. Not gonna lie, like you can, if you are musically inclined, you can hear the similarities in the beat and the bass line, the boom, boom, like.
darling, I will be.
And then. Anyway, you can hear it. If you're not musically inclined, maybe not. And I think the first thing I want to say is, like, first of all, Ed Sheeran put his new album out, Subtract. Amazing. Really enjoyed it. And I love Ed Sheeran's music. I think he's great. Here's the thing with this plagiarism case, because it does come up a lot. One of the recurring things a few years ago on this show was the Olivia Rodrigo Good For You and Paramore Misery Business ripoff, which I talked about a lot. Went a bit viral for that. I mean, it was all over the internet. And I think that resulted not in a court case, but just that she added a writing credit to Paramore in the song, which I guess means that any royalties from that song, some of them go to Paramore, which maybe was just like a, hey, let's just settle this out of court. What do you want? Great, here you go. I think it was that kind of thing. Ed Sheeran instead has fought it in court and made a very, very remarkable remark, for lack of a better phrase. I don't have an audio bite of it. I don't know if he said it in a written piece or if it was in an interview or something. Made a comment that, so Ed Sheeran said, if he is found guilty of plagiarism in this trial, he will retire from music. Let that sink in, because that is a very, very big call from Ed Sheeran. If I am found guilty, I will retire from music. I will no longer play music. I will no longer make music. Because, you know, he's saying, like, it's so ludicrous that I could be accused of plagiarism for this song that I will no longer make music. Basically in a protest to make a stand. Now, first thing I want to say is, well, no, you won't. Sorry. There's no way that if he was found guilty, he was actually going to quit music. Empty threat. He would have gone for a while, and then in a few months, he would have been like, or maybe a year, he'd be like, I've decided to return to music again. Like, there is no way he was prepared to leave this world behind over a guilty verdict. Absolutely no way. Never would have happened. Empty threat, 100%. Would have gone quiet for a bit and then just come back and gone back to the top. He's the biggest musician in the world. He biggest artist in the world. There was no way that was going to happen. Anyway, my thoughts on it though, like, they're pretty interesting, because I think with music, I think it's tricky for a few reasons. One, a lot of the general public and even like decision makers in these trials, like judges, juries, they're not necessarily musically trained. Like, they don't, like, music is a really difficult thing to just understand even at a base level. Like, when we're talking music theory, chords, key signatures, time signatures, notes, octaves, like all of that stuff is just like, if you don't really play music, you probably have no exposure and understanding as to how all of that stuff works. And so Ed Sheeran, like, really, I think that was sort of his defense, is that, like, these chords and these progressions and stuff, they don't belong to anyone. And yes, sometimes things are going to sound similar, but that doesn't mean they're plagiarized. Like, and then we get into the difference between, like, plagiarism, interpolation, sampling, all of that kind of stuff, because it happens all the time now, where people are taking known riffs or known melodies from very popular songs and basically sampling them or interpolating them. Like, there's been 2 songs in the last 5 years that have been hits that are that are interpolating I'm Blue by Eiffel 65. There was one called Some Say, and now there's one called I'm Good. They're both just that riff, right? So when it comes to Sheeran, I kind of agree with him. And like, I guess all that stuff with Olivia Rodrigo and Good For You and Paramore's Misery Business, I was like, oh, this is so interesting because it is like it is so obvious that this song is heavily inspired by Misery Business. Like, I think it was very heavily like, we need to make a song like that, and it follows that song to a T. Do I think she plagiarized it or copied it? Nah, like, I think it was just a song inspired by that song. And I think that's whatever, like, that's fine. I just think it's fun. I think it's fun to point them out. Marvin Gaye's people clearly are on a bit of a, not a witch hunt, but on a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of scrutinization of this kind of thing, because they also went after Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines for another Marvin Gaye song. So maybe they are just looking for songs that are like, oh, that sounds like this, we can get them on this. And I reckon they're just hoping, because Ed Sheeran is one of the biggest in the world, I think, and Ed Sheeran actually kind of referenced this. He said, I'm being made to be a piggy bank for everyone. Like, everyone wants a piece of Ed Sheeran's money. They know he has heaps of money. So I think it's a bit of like, if we just keep pushing, he'll concede, he'll pay us $500,000 and then it's over, right? I think that's kind of what they want, just a concession from Ed Sheeran. And because he has so much money, because he's so famous, and it's bad publicity, I suppose, for him, or good publicity, that like they just want to get squeeze money out of him to someone else's estate. And that's like, that happens all the time in lots of industries. That being said, I do think Ed Sheeran does this a lot. In fact, there are a lot of Ed Sheeran songs. Like, sometimes you're listening to an Ed Sheeran song and you're like, this sounds like another Ed Sheeran song. Like, this just sounds like a different Ed Sheeran song. Like, I think he copies himself most of all. They all sound very similar. But a few examples of other moments that I think are even more kind of like inspired by other songs. Of course, there's this in Shape of You.
Girl, you know I like me.
Okay, and then we have No Scrubs by TLC. I genuinely think I always heard that when Shape of You was big. I used to sing the No Scrubs bit because it was so evident that melody was the same. And then it's like, coincidence, maybe. Like, they sound very different because of everything around them, like Ed's voice, TLC's singing, the instrumentation around it, the style of music. Like, it sounds very different, but that melody is very similar. Of course, if you listen to Hamish and Andy, Andy talked about this one on the show.
Just dancing with me.
Eyes Closed by Ed Sheeran, and Everything Is Awesome from the Lego Movie. Everything. And I think most people would agree that that first melody, da-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na, like, very, very similar, almost identical, but surrounded by a lot of different things. But then it goes in a different kind of direction. But I think it's like, to the basic person who doesn't know anything about music, they can hear that and be like, yeah, they sound similar. But they don't understand anything else really in that world. And I think with Ed and, like, say the Lego Movie one, it's like, they're such different songs. It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's really tough to be like, you need to pay the Lego Movie people money because you've clearly used those 6 notes in that order, and that's not cool. Like, I remember, and I don't have the audio here, but I might put it in post. There was this song that Blink-182 put out called Boxing Day, and the start of that, just the first few notes of that, of the vocal melody, sounded a lot like the first few notes of Smash Mouth's All Star. Like you would never bring that to a court case. Like, but then I guess you're like, did Blink-182 go, oh, this actually sounds a lot like Smash Mouth? But then they'd probably be like, yeah, but then it goes in a completely different direction. I don't know. I think the whole thing's really interesting. I have been a big supporter on this show of Ed Sheeran. I think his music is great. And I've always said he's a collaborative genius. Like, collaborating, that, like, he will work with everyone to get maximum exposure. Beyonce, Andrea Bocelli, Eminem, 50 Cent. He co-wrote songs with Justin Bieber, like this guy, Chance the Rapper, Camila Cabello, all these people that he's worked with. And it's like, everyone knows Ed Sheeran, Everyone in every genre knows some of his songs. Great guy. Great stuff.